Tesla just crushed analyst expectations and my own expectations, even though I believe they were very bullish, but apparently not bullish enough. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about what Tesla reported yesterday and what are my new expectations for Tesla for 2025. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing and smashing that like button since it really helps the channel out and it means a lot for me. Well, it's completely free for you. Now, let's go to my computer and see what they actually reported. So we can see that right now the stock is trading at $1,137 pre-market hours. As we can see that it is right now 6:36 a.m., which means that it's up 7.64% because of this news that came up yesterday. The company is at $1.06 trillion, which obviously is a nice growth for this stock. Now, we can see that they reported 87% increase in 2021 deliveries as they delivered 936,000 cars in 2021, an 87% increase as we said before, while they were able to deliver 380,000 vehicles in the fourth quarter. Well, analysts were expecting 266,000 cars delivered in this quarter, and later on we're going to see which were my expectations. Now, they did mention here that the increase in this delivery were really impressive because of everything that have been happening with chip shortages and all that. But we already know that Elon Musk said his company has overcoming the shortage by switching to types of chips that were more readily available and writing new instructions or firmware to be embedded into the chip, which is something that they mentioned quarters ago. Now, in October, Tesla's market cap or market value for the first time exceeded $1 trillion, making it more valuable than General Motors, Ford Motors, Toyota, Volkswagen, Stellantis, BMW, and several other automakers combined, which obviously I know that is very concerning for many of you, believing that Tesla is really overvalued, and I completely understand that. As Tesla right now is more of a car company, but we gotta understand that they're getting and they're already into other markets that making Tesla not only a car company. They deliver cars, yes, most of the revenue comes from cars. They are also in the energy industry and they're trying to get into a robotaxi industry and more other services that are going to bring them a lot of growth in the future. And I believe that is the growth that is pricing in the stock at the moment. I understand that maybe it sounds a little bit overvalued, over $1,000, and I believe that, but I understand the future that Tesla could have if they continue doing what they've been doing and innovating as they have been innovating. Now, we also saw how Elon Musk had to sell a lot of shares. He sold more than $16 billion worth of Tesla stock. The transaction involved an exercising 22.8 million options awarded to Mr. Musk. As we know, everything that have been happening, as he mentions everything on Twitter with the taxes and all that, as he has been selling to pay taxes. But now that the selling is over, stocks starting to go up because when Elon Musk announced that he needed to sell some stocks, some people did not like that, and we saw the stock price going down a little bit, and now it is going up because the selling is over, plus what they reported yesterday. Now, at the same time, Tesla product quality has remained uneven. On Thursday, the company told federal regulators that it planned to recall more than 470,000 cars for two separate defects that could affect safety. Now, obviously, this is not a good news for Tesla, but now that they mentioned that they obviously crushed analyst expectations, everybody forgot about this. Now, in my opinion, they can fix this. They can recall these cars and bring new ones. Obviously, it's a lot of cars, 475,000 cars. It is almost the same amount of cars that they delivered last year. But still, this is not the first time that this happens to Tesla. Now, let's go to my expectations. Take into consideration that first, I'm going to talk about my previous expectations before yesterday's delivery numbers, and then I'm going to give my new expectations. First of all, this was my expectation for yesterday's delivery numbers or quarter four delivery numbers. We can see that I was expecting 301,625 vehicles to be delivered, which was a 25% growth quarter over quarter and a 66% growth year over year. As we can see that it has been increasing a lot year over year. Because of that, it impressed me. They were able to crush my expectations. So my expectations, in my opinion, were already really bullish. And according to many of you in the comment section of that video, it was really bullish and very, very certain. And we can see that it was almost at the right point. Now, let's talk about the new expectations. So we can see that they actually delivered 308,600 vehicles, which was a 69.89% growth year over year and an 87% growth year over year. We know that they have still to do some changes here, and which we're going to see on the Q4 earnings report, but still is going to be around 308,000, 307,000 vehicles, which still is a lot of growth. Now, remember that they have been saying that they believe they're going to be able to continue growing 50% every year. As they said here, the company is aiming to increase its production by 50% a year for the next several years. And that they have been saying this for about a year or two now. So they are expecting to grow 50% every single year for the next several years, meaning that we can have two outcomes depending on which year you take into consideration. If we take into consideration 2020, in which they delivered 500,000 vehicles, and we wanted to grow 50% year over year for the next 5 years until 2025, they would be able to deliver 4.7 million vehicles by 2025. But if we take into consideration what they delivered in 2021, which was 935,000 vehicles, and we believe that it will grow 50% from now on, that will be 3.7, almost 3.8 million vehicles by 2025. So in my opinion, we can do kind of an average between these two, because they said that way before 2021. They said that on 2020. So I could take into consideration the 2020 numbers, but let's be a little bit more fair here and make an average between these two, meaning that at this moment, we can see that if we do an average, we can see that they could be able to deliver 4.2 million vehicles, which it's a little bit more realistic, because we can see that right now, this year, they will most likely have a production capacity of 1.3 million, because they have 500,000 production capacity in Shanghai, 600,000 production capacity in California, and we know that their Texas and Berlin factory are really big as well. But this year they're not going to be able to ramp up that, as we can see here that the company is expected to start production in Berlin Gigafactory next month in December 2021, which we already know it was not like that because they were not able to start that. And by the end of the first half of 2022, it is expected to produce around 30,000 cars in a new factory. So if we double that, they could be able to produce 60 to 80,000 vehicles in this Berlin factory. But still, I'm going to round that up and be a little bit bullish in this company at the moment. So I believe that they will be able to produce 100,000 in Texas and 100,000 in Berlin, which will take them to 1.3 million vehicles in 2022, which would be a growth of 38% at the moment year over year from 2021 to 2022. Now, in 2023, let's say that they're able to ramp up all of their factories, and they're going to have 500,000 in Shanghai, 600,000 in California, 500,000 in Texas, and 700,000 in Berlin. That means that they will have a capacity of 2.3 million vehicles in 2023, which would be a growth of 76.92%. Now, take into consideration that these are the only 4 gigafactories that they have right now, and we can expect them announcing new gigafactories this year. I could expect them announcing new gigafactories this year or the beginning of next year. So let's say that they're able to open one more gigafactory between now and 2025. That will be kind of reasonable. A number of 4.2 million vehicle production capacity for Tesla by 2025. I know it is very bullish, but in my opinion, they might be able to do, because in order to do this, they have two options: either open 2 or 3 more gigafactories, or start ramping up the ones that they already have to 1 million. They can ramp up Shanghai to 1 million, California to 1 million, Texas to 1 million, and Berlin to 1 million. That will be 4 million production capacity in vehicles, plus the one that they will announce this year, next year, and the coming years, and that will get them to 4.2 million vehicles. That is a nice expectation. That is a 50% growth expectations, which is what the company is expecting, not me. Obviously, I'm expecting them to do that. As I always expect companies to be able to perform as they are expecting in the long term, and they're expecting to be able to grow 50% in production capacity for the next several years. Because of all that, their revenue could be about $209 billion by 2025, taking into consideration that only from vehicles it would be $188 billion. So I did kind of an average growth here for all of their other products and services, imagining that they will not have any other new things in the coming years, which I believe they will, but let's be a little bit more realistic here. So that will be a revenue of $209 billion, which, let me tell you, that is a lot of money. And many believe it is not possible for Tesla to do this by 2025. Because of that, they will end the year with a profit margin of about 12%. Let's say it's a good margin. At the moment, they have a margin of about 7%, if I'm not mistaken. We can see here, yes, profit margin of 7.40%. So 12% from here to 2025, let's say that they're able to improve their expenses and all that. So because of that, we can see that if they're able to do that, we can see that I have two expectations, the bullish one and the kind of realistic one. Now, we can see that if they're able to do that with a 5% dilution from here to 2025, which is what they have been doing for years, with a PE ratio of 65, the stock could be at $1,380 in 2025, which I know that the stock is already at 1,000 right now, and that will be a growth of only 30%, which is something of what the stock did this year, because we can see here that the stock went up this year 44%. So many will believe that the stock will go up about 20 to 30% in the coming 5 years, which makes sense. So this is not that bullish. 1,300 is not that bullish, but we don't know what can happen in the coming years. Now, take into consideration that this is just calculation from numbers with a P ratio of 65. But if we do a more realistic P ratio of 100, which is what I believe it will happen, as it has been happening before with other stocks, the stock could get to $2,124,000 by 2025, which would be a growth of 25% yearly, or 101% return in total from now to 2025. Now, take into consideration that these are just expectations according to the numbers that they are giving us. I understand that the stock could blow up, could go to the moon, and could get to 3,000 or 4,000 by 2025. I don't believe that it will happen it will get to $4,000, as that is really crazy, and it will get really, really overvalued. But this is a little bit more of a realistic number with a P ratio of 100, and depending on what they are able to produce. Because believe me, that I'm being bullish here, and I understand that a 25% return for Tesla is not something that everyone expects, as everyone expects Tesla to give us a return of 100% yearly. But let's be a little bit more realistic, and I believe that we can have a 25 to 30% return every single year from Tesla stock, and that would get us to $2,124 by 2025. Now, this is very bullish. These are all my expectations with their numbers that they are providing us right now, January 2022. Things can change really fast, either to the good side or to the bad side. So these are just expectations, and I want you to take that into consideration. Please let me know what are your expectations for this company in the coming years. Thank you, and see you next time.